Hi. Oh yeah. Hi. I thought that for some reason the mic wouldn't be working in the scene, but no. I'm a moron. I did put uh the mic source in here. Hi, how's it going? Should I think of an intro? I feel like VTubers have an intro and I don't. That that I don't know. I feel like I could cringe a bit too much if I do an intro. I have fucking background music. That's the one thing I was forgetting. Give me a minute. Where the hell is my playlist? I always start stream and I think I have everything figured out, but I don't. Hi, there we go. I got some Scott Pilgrim to start. I need to lower it on my end because it's a bit too loud and I can't hear my thoughts. How's it going? Well, give me a minute. I'm drinking some apple juice, so if you hear me burp, it's that. I'll try to not do it into the microphone because I want to at least appear professional in some capacity or another. So, what's the deal with this stream? Well, the title, if I said it correctly, should say something along the lines of let's judge my anime taste. Let's check out what my anime taste is like. And what I mean by that is that in my YouTube channel, in my account, if you go to my channel, one of the links up there is actually an AniList page. If you don't know what AniList is, it's a site that lets you track down and like write everything that you've seen. It's a way to keep track of everything that you've watched, and you can also score it, and you can like make some comments about it. I think it's pretty cool. And I've been using AniList for a while now. I used to use my AnimeList, but my AnimeList at some point died for like a month or so. And there was a mass migration of users, and I was in one of those, and I wasn't that. I was one of the ones that migrated. And so since then, I started using AniList because I think it's a nicer site. But the thing about this that I wanna do is I want to check out my list with y'all, if you'll allow me. Of course you'll allow me. What the fuck am I saying? Because I think there's something fun to do there, because it's a list that I have had for the past 5 years at least, I want to say. Let me check. Can I check stats? Oh well, you can check stats, but I want to know what year I joined in this stupid site. It's not stupid, it's a very good site. Oh well, whatever. Thing is, I've been using this site for a long time. I've been using this site for a long time, and a lot of it is it's not necessarily outdated, but I wrote things a long time ago. I wrote things a long time ago. And I don't know if I still stand by all of those things that I wrote, so I thought it would be fun to check it out on stream. So, without further ado, let me drink some of my Ringo juice. And let's fucking switch scenes. Hopefully this is working now. It is working! You can see shit. I need to move chat out of the way. Or make it a bit smaller, maybe. There we go. I just need to have everything on screen. That way I can oh, that's another thing that I didn't realize. Okay, let me see. Ignore the text up there. Ignore the text up there. I should be able to change it, right? We're not watching anime openings. That was a stream idea I had, but it didn't work. It didn't work out. I thought it would I think YouTube-san wouldn't have been happy about that. What are we doing? We're reading my anime list. Or cringing. Let's put we're cringing at my anime list, because there's a lot. I assure you, there's got to be a lot of cringe stuff here. add my anime list. There we go. Okay, everything is all right now. We can begin. We can properly begin. I don't want to go over the. I don't want to go too much over the stuff. Whoops, you could see that, right? You could. I'm an idiot. I should. There we go. That's better. You didn't see anything there. That was my playlist. Yes, it's Scott Pilgrim. Duh. And besides it, the whole thing is like very cut down, so I probably didn't dox myself there. Did I? Nah. We're fine. We're fine. If I did dox myself or something like that, I would probably just edit it out. And I should probably stop talking about it. Because it would make it weird that I'm talking about something that it should be... Okay, whatever. Anime! Hey! Okay, so... A lot of the things that I gave 10 out of 10s, I gave 10 out of 10s under the pretense that they're basically my favorite things. Right? So, a lot of this you already saw on my debut. So, I have already talked about A Place Further Than the Universe, and that's a 10. That's a 10 in my book. Context. My scoring system is... I don't think it's a law or anything like that, but it's a simple way to just grade how much I enjoyed a show, right? Just if it's a 10, it means it's one of my favorite things. If it's a 9, I really enjoyed it. If it's an 8, I enjoyed it. It's good. If it's a 7, it's fine. It's okay. And then if it's a 6, it's like eh. If it's a 5, it's straight up mediocre. And anything below that is just different degrees of bad. That's the way my system works, I guess. I swear to God, I put the... Whoops. I swear to God, I put the playlist on loop, and we've been going through... What happens if I just pick that one? It's on shuffle, so it should be working. All right. I explained I need to put OBS here. There we go. Oh my God, I'm such a terrible streamer. Let me drink some of my juice again. I'm here. I've explained my ranking system, what the numbers mean, and why I don't think you should pay too much attention to it, because I don't think any of this is objective fact. It's just what I think of these shows and what I've ranked them, if you will. So, that being said, Place Further in the Universe, Bacano, Code Geass. I believe Code Geass was in my list in debut, right? For some reason, I think it wasn't, but it was. Cowboy Bebop, Mob Psycho. There's a reason why Mob Psycho 2 and 3 are on my 10 out of 10s. Because if I'm being completely, like, straight, the first season of Mob Psycho 100 is great. It's really good, but it doesn't... Mob becomes, like, one of my favorite series of all time, if not my favorite series of all time, later down the line by season 2 and season 3. That's what I mean when I put Mob Psycho 2 and 3 as a number 10, as a 10, but not the first season. All right, I think it's great. It's just literally not as great as the other 2 seasons. There we go. Also, the end of Evangelion. Yes, the end of Evangelion is to me a 10, because it's my favorite piece of Evangelion shit content ever. And while I do think the show in and of itself is great, the ending of the show, I just prefer the end of Evangelion to the movie The End of Evangelion to how the actual TV show ended. Though I do think the TV show ending has its merits. It's a bit, yeah, you know. With the quote unquote zero budget, it was more time constraints. I think they literally couldn't finish the series on time. Oh, that's topical. They couldn't do that in the 90s, and we're thinking that shit can happen this year. There were like what, 2 shows that couldn't finish on time. Nier Automata had very, very much production problems as well. Well, whatever. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Evangelion. I just prefer the ending shown in End of Eva to the ending shown in the TV show. Then Nichijou, which is my favorite comedy, and Perfect Blue, which is one of my favorite anime movies, again. Then Serial Experiment Lane, I've already talked about this. Steins Gate and the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. That's one I didn't put in my movies one, but might as well be there. That night, I legit remember I didn't put that in my debut. But yeah, I really like Haruhi. What did I say about it? Oh yeah, by the way, all of these are comments. You could read that, right? That is readable. I suppose it is. It's very zoomed in. Right? Like, well, I could zoom a little bit and it would still fit on the screen. But yeah. It says here, I have yet to find a show that captures the feeling of adventure and camaraderie as well as this one. Strong leads, amazing music, beautiful animation. Did I mention that it has excellent character writing? The show is amazing. See, this is what I mean about the cringe. I feel like I wrote a lot of these things before I was better at expressing my opinion and writing about things that I like. And so some of these descriptions are probably pretty good and probably ones that I would agree with, if maybe not too in depth. And that's fine because I don't want to write a review. I just want to like quickly jolt my thoughts on the show. And this is pretty much in line with what I say in with what I said on debut. That I think it's a show that's like super adventurous, and I love the characters and they all feel very real to me. They feel like actual real people, which is something that's surprisingly hard to pull off. Which is to say, a lot of anime and anything really just doesn't get it. And they all come off as like, I don't know, maybe too mature and like too profound to be like real people. But then others just feel like real people. And others are maybe too stupid. Yeah, that character writing is hard. But this show does it really well. And then for Bacano, I said, oh, this means that whether I rewatched it or not. Which I'm not one to rewatch shows, so. I've rewatched Bacano once, and Mob Psycho Season 2 once. That's about it. Also, End of Eva. I have watched it twice, yes. I'm pretty prolific with this list. Ignore this part right here, though, because this is very much not updated. I have watched some episodes of Arc Knights and most of Hell's Paradise. I just haven't updated this because I haven't finished it yet. I'm a bit behind on that. But without fail, if I finish a show, I go to this list and I update it. Literally updated it today because I finished reading a manga today. So hey. Alright, what was I saying? Oh yeah, from Bacano, apparently I put that it's got great storytelling and an amazing plot. And it takes 3 unrelated stories that tie together quite perfectly. Yes. Yes. Also, there may be spoilers in here because I may just straight up spoil things in here. I don't know if you're supposed to know. I don't know if you're supposed to know that Bacano has immortal characters. I think that's like the episode 10 reveal. Oh no. Well, I should have put spoilers in the title. Well, whatever. I'll try to keep it. I'll try to keep it at a minimum if I can. But I probably didn't spoil many things. Code Geass. What did I say about Code Geass? I said that the most amazing aspect of it was the relationship between Lelouch and Suzaku, and it's the driving force of the show. Yeah. Yeah, that's also pretty correct, I would say. I mean, I don't know if it's the best thing in the show. It's seriously one of the highlights of it, and it's probably the one thing I remember the most, especially throughout the first season, because I do think the first season is way better. Not way better. I do think the first season is better than the second season, which is why I put it as a 10, and the second season is somewhere else. I think it's at a 9. Because the second season kind of like foregoes that tight writing, and it, I guess, goes for more action set pieces, which are still pretty cool and more flashy than the first season. But yeah, overall, I think that's the core of the show. Lelouch and Suzaku. Also, give me a minute. I needed to drink something before I went on this tirade. I am a sort of a defender of the the Lelouch and Yuffie moment. You know, that one moment where if you like Code Geass, you're probably willing to forgive it, and if you don't, that shit just completely ruins the show for you, and that's fine. I understand it. Spoilers. I'm talking about the time when Lelouch accidentally activates his Geass and makes Yuffie kill everybody. Well, that I saw a lot of discourse about it, and I read both sides of the argument quite a lot, and I ended up thinking both of them have very good points. And though I do like the way the show evolved past that moment, I will say it's also a bit of an asshole, and it's also a bit of a, not Deus Ex Machina, but it's a very convenient plot device. And I get it, but I'm willing to forgive it. And also, I think it's not out of nowhere. Lelouch is cocky, and saying saying something as wild as that to Yuffie, I feel makes sense in character. So maybe that's why I don't feel particularly bothered by the Code Geass twist there. And besides, everything that comes after that moment is some of the tightest moments in Code Geass, especially the ending of the first season. The ending of the first season is fucking amazing. So yeah. And then Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, I know I haven't rewatched all of Cowboy Bebop. I've watched I've watched episodes multiple times, but I haven't done a proper rewatch of Cowboy Bebop. And I know for a fact that what I wrote here is kind of It says CU Space Cowboy. Best characters, best settings, best visuals, best soundtrack, my favorites. AKA, I really like this show, and it doesn't say why. I'm not gonna rewrite this because I feel like I need to rewatch the show to put into words, into better words, why I like it so much. But the characters are definitely part of it. But I also really like the way the show is laid out. I like the episodic nature of it. Yeah, I think it's an incredibly smart way to create a world. And besides, even if it's episodic, like the stories, the main story, if you will, it's rooted within the characters. So like throughout the episodic moments, you get to understand the characters a whole lot, and the way they interact with each other, and the way they interact with the people that they meet. So yeah, I think that the episodic nature of it does a really good job at building the characters in and of themselves. And also, what was I saying? What did I want to say? Oh yeah, there is a proper story for each character, and each character gets their own like closure and everything, their own arc, and that's told like in parts throughout the episodes. Like sometimes the episodic nature of it will mean that one of the episodes is like focused on this character, and I want to say there's like a main story throughout the whole show, but it's less like that, and it's more like, okay, so now we take a break from the random bounty that we're chasing to talk about this character and explore this character's motivations and shit like that. And yeah, I know, I really like that. I don't know how long this stream will be. I don't like streaming for more than like an hour or so. So we'll see. I started streaming at like what? Oh, I can just check. Don't do that. You could see some of my yeah, you could see some of my fucking, what is it? My some of my backgrounds, because I use Wallpaper Engine, and I have like a big like list of wallpapers, and it like cycles through that, but I close it to stream just to, you know, not ruin it. Just to, you know, not ruin my stream, because I don't know how much CPU power I need, right? Okay, I've been streaming for like 20 minutes. All right. All right, then maybe I know when would be a good point to end it. I know for a fact we're not fucking we're not going through my entire list. Maybe I'll do a sequel stream where we pick up wherever we leave off. And also, I said I didn't want to spend too much time on my favorites because I kind of talked about them on my debut when I spent 20 minutes or whatever. What did I write about Mob Psycho? Yeah, that kind of tells you that kind of tells you what I meant. It says here that the story hits its highest points narratively. Yes, that's kind of redundant the way it's written, but I do agree. I do agree. I do know what I meant to say. That the story hits like its peaks in season 2. Like if the show were to end in season 2, it would make sense as an ending. And then the entirety of season 3, which I think I mentioned in here, is well, I wrote a lot. Bones hit it out of the park, and this is pretty much a review at this point. And it says there that the last season just pretty much wraps up every single major character in a very satisfying manner. Like every little plot thread that may have been dangling that isn't particularly important, it gets resolved. Like the whole thing with the supernatural research or whatever the fuck the club is called, that they hold the whole thing where they're trying to find aliens and stuff. That's like a completely unnecessary thing. Like if the manga never had that, it would have still been great. It was completely unnecessary. Well, maybe not completely unnecessary, but it didn't need to be so. It didn't need to go that hard. And then they grabbed that arc and they adapted in one of my favorite episodes of the entire show, and I think that's episode 8. Yeah, episode 8, which was made completely. I think it was directed, and he was the only key animator or something like that for that episode. Hakuyu Go. He's a famous animator. Some of that is also on this list. I like to throw in my knowledge of the industry and throw out names that I know within the industry sometimes. What else do we got? Well, Evangelion. What did I say? Everything Evangelion stands for? Yeah. And again, you can see the difference. This I wrote rather recently. And this I wrote when I first made my list. Nichijou, what did I say about Nichijou? Yeah, that's just a bullet list of everything that I like about it. Ridiculous, bizarre, hilarious, visually stunning, and at times even emotional. Yeah, near the end it actually gets like emotional. They're very emotional actually, because they're like pondering whether they'll be friends and they'll keep being friends and shit like that. It's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting such emotional catharsis out of fucking Nichijou. The show that has that bit where a girl gets bit and they fucking bit by a dog and they shoot lasers out of their mouths. Yeah, that show. What did I say about Perfect Blue? Perfect Blue is one of those movies and one of those stories that feel more relevant now than they did when it came out. What did I say? Yeah, exactly. It's more relevant now than ever, and Satoshi Kon takes you on this deeply disturbing yet very real story that weaves reality and fiction like there's no separation. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Perfect Blue. Like, at some point you're wondering, is this all her going schizo mode and fucking seeing shit and thinking stuff happens in her mind or not? And yeah, that's something that Satoshi Kon really likes to do, because Paprika, which is also on my list, and it's not one of my favorites, but it's pretty high up there. Paprika does that a lot, where you don't know whether you're in a dream or in the real world. Yeah, Satoshi Kon really likes to do it. And then what else did I say? Lane? Did I say the same thing about Lane? Yeah. Relevant and accurate after 20 years of its original release. It paints a picture of society and its relationship with technology in a painfully realistic way, while also dealing with heavy themes of the self. Wow. I'm a good writer. Or it makes it seem like I am a good writer. I don't know. What did I say about Steins Gate? Steins Gate, I probably wrote that a long time ago, so it's not as in-depth. It's one of the best time travel stories that I've seen. Slow at times. Yeah, that's mostly about the beginning. I think I mentioned that on my debut as well. That I really like the first half, even if it's like very slow paced and not a lot of things happen in it. Yeah, I mentioned that. I remember now. And then what did I say about Disappearance? Yeah, it's a very serious movie. My voice kind of died there. Because it's less comedic and it's less comedic and less fun. It is fun. It is a fun movie, I will say. Or rather, no, it's a very slow movie. You might actually get bored with it. But if you're into the story, you're gonna be fucking enthralled all the way. But it is very much a turn, a twist, a turn from what the anime series was like, and I think that helps with it because it's like you didn't really expect the story to go that way, but it does. You get a lot of like serious introspection from Kyon, and I don't want to spoil it because there are no spoilers in this, and I kind of want to keep it that way because I think like the ending, like the last part of this movie is one of my favorite parts. If it's mostly why I like it a lot because it like recontextualizes a lot that happened before, and I was like, oh wow, that was really important, huh? Turns out it was really important. It says the plot keeps getting more interesting as it goes along and it never becomes predictable. Exactly. It's kind of what I was saying right now. Looks amazing, sounds amazing, and it was amazingly directed. Yes. Also, it's like 3 hours long and it doesn't feel like 3 hours. I have no idea. It's one of the longest anime movies of all time. I think it's like the second longest anime movie of all time. And every second of it feels important. Like you couldn't remove a single second from that movie. Because the entirety of the movie adapts one whole novel. Just one. And it adapts it so fucking faithfully. From what I've heard, it adapts it super faithfully and super thoroughly, that it's like, yeah, no, it has to be 3 hours long and it can't be anything less than 3 hours long. Otherwise they'd be cutting corners and the impact of it would be lost. But yeah, it's 3 hours long and it doesn't feel like 3 hours long. And what did I say about Your Name? I probably said something about like the combination of music and visuals. I'm so predictable. Perfect combination of astounding visuals and an amazing soundtrack and a story that tugs at your heartstrings at the same time that makes you laugh and have a grand old time. Hey, yeah, Your Name is actually very funny. Yeah. No, that's pretty accurate. What did I say about 86? Because this is only the first season. I actually didn't watch the second season of 86. Well, that's a lie. I watched like the first few episodes and then it went on like a prolonged hiatus and I was like, I don't want to wait. I'll probably just watch the second season once it finishes. And that was the point where I hit my anime rut, where I just stopped watching a lot of shows. And so I just watched 86, the first season, a few episodes of the second season, and then that's it. I'm pretty sure it's not even on the rest of my list. Like I probably didn't even put it on the paused section. Oh no, I did put it. I watched 3 episodes and I watched 5 episodes of Babylon. When? And also Komi. Yeah, Komi-san. I actually have not seen all of Komi-san. I watched the first episode, thought it was really cute and wanted to see more, and then I didn't keep going. But Babylon, I watched all the way up to 5 episodes of that? Wow, I don't even remember that. I know it goes to shit. I have heard it goes to shit. And I was very curious about it. I am very curious about it. So I want to finish it just to see how it goes. I'm all for watching a train wreck. As we'll see, if we get to like the bottom of my list, that there are some train wrecks in there. And then 86 part 2. I watched 3 episodes and then I went on hiatus and yeah. So completed 431. There you have my stats. I have seen 431 shows. You can probably like lower it a bit because a lot of those are movies and some of those are even shorts. So if you want to be more technical about what counts as a full anime, probably seen like less than 400. But close, probably. Where were we? 86. What did I say about 86? It did catch me by surprise and Episode 1 really, like, as soon as I watched episode 1, I was like, oh wow, this is nuts. It's wow. And that's one of those, I think it's a very good example of show don't tell, because just watching the first episode, I remember thinking like, wow, this is a very well thought out world. They explain a lot of they don't explain it, really, they don't. They show you how the world works, and you inherently just understand it, and you understand the injustice of it. It's super cool. And that keeps going throughout the rest of the series, but the first episode like really drags you in. And I remember watching it because I was like, I like the studio that made this, and it seemed pretty cool. It looks interesting. And then I was like, oh wow, this is really good. I now fear that by the time I get to the second season, I will have to rewatch the first season, because I remember very little about the show, other than I really like it and it has very good world building and stuff like that. The whole show don't tell thing, yeah. Also, A Silent Voice, which is like, a lot of people think that A Silent Voice is better than Your Name because they came out, I think, close to one another. And all right, I prefer Your Name. I don't know, something about Your Name just hits harder than A Silent Voice, and I think I wrote why. I think the one thing holding the film back is its pacing, as many of the characters don't get that much screen time, and it's very clear that it was adapted from a longer story. I don't know about that, actually. I just said that, and I acted as if that is like the 100% what happens, but it is sort of a fact, kind of, quote unquote. What's up, Lenny? We're talking anime. Have you seen The Silent Voice? Have you read A Silent Voice? Am I right on that? No, what I was saying is that I know the manga of A Silent Voice is like 7 volumes long, and I'm pretty sure the anime doesn't cover all 7 volumes of the manga. So that's why I said that it feels like it was just a piece of it. It was still a really good piece. I have seen it. I think it's a really good movie. It's an incredible movie, yeah. But it feels like it ends halfway through, right? It's a satisfying conclusion, of course. It's a very satisfying conclusion, but you could tell that there's more to be told there, right? So that's what I feel about A Silent Voice. And what do we got? Anohana. Oh, that's another one that, okay. We got the emotional wombo combo here. What do I say about Anohana? It's a story that deals with themes of how people and relationships change, while also, we're going top down, but we can go to the very bottom if it's interesting. There's in the bottom, there's a lot of things that I haven't graded for different reasons, so we can get into that. Okay, I started with Anohana. Let's see, what else did I say? The heavy topic of the loss of a loved one, and it manages to do so masterfully, even if some characters feel more developed than others. I don't remember the names of the characters. Wait, let me see. We can move out. We can move out of this. Where's my boy? This guy. Popo. Yes, Popo. This is the loveliest guy. I mean, come on. He's so cool. And I swear to God, he got kind of shafted in the show. Not shafted, but it's like he seemed to be the one that didn't get as much, I don't want to say development, but the one that got the less screen time out of all of them. And he's the best. Oh yeah, there's this movie as well. The TV series is retold through the different main characters' points of view, with new additional material from the childhood to the original series, and 1 year after the conclusion of the series. I haven't seen this. Alright, well, there you go. That might be something I've got to watch. I'm not even going to put it on my plan to watch, because my plan to watch is just bullshit. But yeah, I do feel like some characters got more focus than others. Mostly Jinta, the main character, and the other girl, the what was her? Whoops, what was her name? She had a very Anjo, Naruko Anjo. What did they call her? Because she had a very unfortunate. It doesn't say. I think she had a very unfortunate... Anaru, yeah, that's the one. Her nickname is Anaru. That's what I remembered. Yeah, she had a very unfortunate nickname. If you know, you know. But yeah, I feel like some characters are more important than others, and I'd like all of them to be, you know, because the whole point of the show is like the group and the relationship of the group and how they drifted apart and how they're trying to reconnect. And it clearly it feels like the show has placed favorites a bit. All right, so let's see. We can go all. This is a long list. This is you can't see the bar here, but it keeps resetting, and so I have to. Yeah, no, I cried a lot during Anohana too. It's one of those shows. Okay, so here we go. There's a lot of things that I put on my. Okay, let's not spoil the ones that the thing that I gave ones to. There's a lot of things that I put here that I just didn't rank because I didn't know how to, and it didn't seem fair to put a ranking to it. Like, for example, music videos, this is a music video for, I think, an Eve song. And because I try to be very prolific, I try to write down something about everything that I've seen. And that happened, and it just so happens that the site has a lot of music videos on it. And so I was like, oh, god damn it. I watched this music video. That means I have to put it on my list. I don't need to, but I just feel compelled to do it. And so something like this, Byoshin Bokamu, which is a very good song. I said, sick-ass music video with creative visuals despite the rough animation. And that's it. And it didn't seem fair to give it like a 9 or something like that. Because it's like, how do you compare a 9 given to a music video versus a 9 given to a full 12-episode series? And so there are certain things that I just don't know how to rank. Same as with the Code Geass recap movies. Because the Code Geass recap movies, I said, recap film with some extra scenes. Right, because there's some small changes that happen in this movie that changes the story. And then like on this one, there's some big things changing. But overall, it's just Code Geass again. And I like Code Geass. There are certain things that are cut from the movies that is like, I get it. And the main point of Code Geass is still clear. But oh well. And what else do we have? And then I said, again, the movie is the most focused. Oh yeah, I did say that. This film has the issue of cramming way too much content into its runtime. It definitely feels like it should have been 2 movies instead of 1. Yeah, that's the problem of trying to adapt 24 seasons. No, 24 seasons, Jesus Christ. 50 episodes in 3 movies. And so some things just feel very rushed. The most rushed one feeling being the second movie. But then the third movie is that changes the ending quite a bit. And I said 24. Yeah, no, this isn't Detective Conan or One Piece. No. It's just 50 episodes. 2 seasons. And it says here, the most focused of the recap films. It doesn't feel rushed at all, which is interesting. I guess I did say that. I don't know. Captures the essence of Code Geass' final arc perfectly. I'm interested in the changes made though, because I wrote this before the movie came out, the new movie, which is also on the list, and I think I give it like an 8 or something. There's also this short animation that Murata did. Murata, why the fuck? What the fuck are you so... This is what I said here. I also like to have fun sometimes here. Why are you so good at everything? Stop. Yeah, because if you haven't seen this, you should go see it. I think it's like on Twitter, on his Twitter. It's just a short animation that Yusuke Murata, which is the author, not author, the artist of One Punch Man, he just straight up animated a whole short episode of literally like 2 minutes of One Punch Man. Yeah. And it's great. It's great, but it didn't feel fair to... What the fuck? Where are we? Oh, this is my plan to watch. Ignore it. Oh god, we're back up here. Oh god, that's a mess. I need to open stuff on like... Oh, whoops, that's my plan to watch. I need to open... He's so cool. He is so cool. We're talking about Murata or we're talking about Saitama? Because they're both cool. Either way. Yeah, this is a short animation. And Murata also made another animation, which isn't on my list. And it probably should be because I watched it. He made a thing about like... I think it was characters from Journey to the West. Right? Okay, let me see. Let me see. Yusuke Murata. Zayuki. Yeah, this is the one. I technically saw this. No, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add it to my list. I'm gonna grab this. No, no, that I ruined it. Oh god. Now we're all the way back here. Oh no. Oh no, I am so scuffed. Where is it? Where is it? I just wanted to edit it and be like, I'm just gonna copy that. I'm actually editing because I did watch this. I watched it a long time ago when it originally came out because it's very short again. And there we go. So now it should be like right next to this somewhere here. And it says the same thing. Why are you so good at everything? Stop. Because that is true. And then there's also a Pharrell music video, which I've seen. I have seen this music video. It's fucking weird. Yeah, it looks dope. It's very dope, I would say. The song is but the animation of it is super interesting. It like mixes a lot of like proper animation with like pixel art and stuff. It's very reminiscent of like visual novels and stuff, Japanese visual novels. It's super weird. It's super weird. He at some point tries to date a Pharrell, like a small girl. It's very weird. Also, Death and Rebirth. It's a recap movie. I don't know why I watched it, and I even questioned myself on on my list. But also Pop Team Epic is here, which is interesting because Pop Team Epic is a full show, and you would think that I would rate it something, but you just need to know that I really like Pop Team Epic. And the problem with Pop Team Epic is that it's such a mess in the best way possible that it's hard for me to put a number to it. Like, I hesitate to give it a 9 because that would mean that it's pretty much one of my favorite things of all time. And it isn't, but it is pretty good. It is really fucking good. But it's like, I don't know. I'm conflicted with Pop Team Epic. I really like it, but I don't know what should I rate it. So I said, memes, shitposting, Kuso anime. How do you rate a show like this? I love it. It's exactly that. It's a show. It's very much a show of your mileage might vary. Because if you're into shitposty stuff, you're probably gonna love Pop Team Epic because that's exactly what it is. It's a mess all throughout. It's like just random bits about anything and everything. And actually, season 1 not so much, but season 2 it's just so well animated too. Did I mention that in here? I still refuse to score Pop Team Epic, but it remains the top tier shitpost anime. Hell, the Kamen Rider parody finale isn't even anime. I think I mentioned that in my video. In my video about openings. Yeah. And then the TV special. Again, I refuse to rate this madness. That's the thing. It's too insane for me to give it a number. And then Road of Naruto, which is a very nostalgic thing. It goes throughout all of Naruto, say? Yeah. Very, very nostalgic. Naruto is one of those shows that got me into anime, so I guess I just put it here because I watched it and I thought it was cool, but not cool enough that it deserves me giving it a rating, especially because it's just recap shit, right? Like if you've seen Naruto, you know everything that happens in here. But if you like Naruto at any degree, to any degree, or if you grew up with it, this short's pretty cool. And then there's also Shitcom. That I just put. What? What is Shitcom again? I think one time I went on like my anime list or Anime News Network, and I wanted to like see what was the lowest rated stuff, and one of them was Shitcom, which is I think a short that you can watch it on YouTube. It says a beautiful couple enjoying dinner together when suddenly the woman's stomach begins to make loud rumbling sounds. As she attempts to calm the beast in her belly, her partner proposes to her, leaving her both overjoyed and distressed at her situation. The astonishing events of that night now begin to unfold as a mysterious mess starts to make its way out of her mouth. This is Shitcom. This is probably Shitcom. I've seen this. I don't want to see it because I don't know. Oh yeah, no, there's some fucked stuff in there. It was the 6th most popular thing in 2012. What? This is a perfect film. I do agree. It's a It's insane. I have no words for shitcom. So I guess that's why it's unscored and it just says what. Then Sword Art Online, I'll be the first to say I'm not the biggest fan of Sword Art Online, and for some reason I watched this extra edition thing, which is pure fan service, and I think there's like some teases for season 2, but for some reason I watched it. I think it's because I was under the impression that it was gonna have more teaser future thing for the future things. My list is weird. There's also a Billie Eilish music video. Which I think was directed by Teruaki Murakami, I want to say. Takashi. No, not Teruaki Murakami. That's someone else. That's someone else that I'm not going to go into detail. This is Takashi Murakami. Takashi Murakami is an artist. It's a very special artist. You can look. I'm not. If I will look up the stuff that other stuff that Takashi Murakami has done, I will get banned. You could look it up. There's a few statues that he did, some anime statues. Yeah, that's yeah. You should see me in the crown. The music video is pretty fucking wild, and I like the song. So I guess because weirdly enough, it's in here. I had to write it. So we're about to move into the things that I gave 1, 2s, and 3. 1s, 2s, and 3s. There are a bunch. But before I do that, let me go to the BRB scene for a minute because I gotta go take a piss. I'm back. Hydration check. I just drank something and I had to go piss. This is the problem with me streaming and drinking water or anything. I'm very susceptible to that. I just have to have like a little, like if I drink one bottle of water, not even a big one, just a small one, it makes me want to piss. I'm very, very susceptible to that. So me streaming and drinking things is like pretty much a necessity, but it makes me want to go to the bathroom very, very frequently. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem, but we take what we can get. Okay, so the ones, the 1s and 3s. Oh boy! First off, there's Pupa. Pupa is a waste of 30 minutes of your life. 20 minutes. Okay, I was a bit generous. I was a bit too generous. Pupa is a weird ass show that has 12 episodes that are very short, and it's, I guess, a horror anime. I guess what was it about? Like the little girl that gets turned into a monster, and the brother has to like take care of her or whatever. It says here, a boy and his little sisters find themselves alone. Yuma sees a mysterious red butterfly, and her body undergoes a strange metamorphosis into a creature, turns it into a creature that eats humans. Yes, that's what it is. It's short. Do you think the manga is any better? How long is the manga? The manga's like 34 chapters. I'm willing to bet that the manga is at least more entertaining, but what's the score distribution? Most people ranked it somewhere in between 4 and 7, I guess. So it must suck for your horror manga to be completely overshadowed by one of the worst anime adaptations of all time. I suppose so. Like, the manga definitely seems like a more serious thing, but for some reason, they decided to adapt it into a short anime that covers 20 minutes in its entirety. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I watched it and I was like, I have no idea what I just watched. Like, it could have been an actual proper series, it seems, but they decided it wasn't worth doing that. Also, it looks like shit. There's barely even any animation. Yeah. And speaking of looking like shit, X-Arm. Fucking X-Arm. Okay. The story behind X-Arm is super interesting too. I'm not the best one to retell it. I think there's a video about it that Kanaba Effect did, I think, if I recall correctly. Because it's fascinating. It's a team that doesn't know how to make anime because they've never made an anime before. And so they hired these people, Crunchyroll, by the way, because it's a Crunchyroll original. And they were like, here, make an anime based on this manga, which apparently is all right, because it's a manga adaptation. And they completely butchered it. And it's the worst anime I've ever seen. Like, legitimately, I don't think there's a single anime that looks as bad as X-Arm. But it circles around to being fucking hilarious. It's one of those things that I like to watch just because it's so bad. It's so bad it's good. What did I write? I wrote a lot of this. It is a masterpiece because it's like, how do you make something so bad? X-Arm was indeed a trip. This is what happens when a bunch of people unfamiliar with the anime industry make an anime. Yeah, that's exactly it. Everything is super stiff. The characters move like robots. They all have frozen expressions. Yeah, that's another one. They all had the same face and were emotionless. The backgrounds look like everything about it is so bad. The effects, oh my god. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend. If you wanna laugh a little bit at like some very bad things, X-Arm is the way to go. Like, if you're in a get together with some friends and you're bored and you don't know what to do and you want to laugh your ass off at something, you could watch X-Arm. You could watch X-Arm and then, like, I don't know, take a drink whenever something bad happens, where there's like a bad moment of animation. It's fucking nuts. I love it. I love it so much. I hate it, but I love it so much. Then there's Big Order. Okay, Big Order is by the same author of Mirai Nikki. And Mirai Nikki is not great, but somehow it's entertaining. And I think I give it something like a 6 or a 7 maybe, which I guess may be a bit too generous. That's something that's very relevant in here. I tend to be a lot more generous than I guess I have to be, because I don't know. I like many things and I hate being mean. But Big Order doesn't make any sense. Like, the OVA that they made first made absolutely no sense. I think it did I don't know, it tried to be like an adaptation or something like of like the first volume or something like that, but it's like jumbled all over the place. It switches time frame all along. I think it's a mess. It's a straight up mess. Not that the actual anime that they made is any better. It's not. I just said shit, utter shit, ridiculous plots, stupid characters, bad writing. It's not even fun to watch. Okay, here's what you need to know about Big Order. Here's everything that you need to know about Big Order and why I hate it so much. There's a scene where a girl starts crying. No, it wasn't it that. No, I think the main character holds someone's hand, a girl's hand, and that makes her get pregnant immediately. Like, she grows a belly, like a 9-month-old belly. That's something that happens in Big Order. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I would say it makes for a fun watch, but I wouldn't be so sure about that. I don't remember having fun watching Big Order. For some reason, I finished it. I guess. That's another thing. I don't like dropping shows. You'll see my dropped list is very short. We can see what I dropped in the past. Boruto, I watched. Yes, this is very. I gave it a 6. Again, maybe a bit too generous. Naruto, Shippuden. Yeah, I eventually dropped Naruto as well. Naruto was very formative for me, I guess. And I won't sit here and pretend that some things about Naruto aren't fun and good. But not all of it. What did I say? Skipped most filler. Best moments of this year's aren't in here, but excessive amounts of filler made me drop it. I wouldn't say that the best... You live and die by the 3-episode rule. I kind of do too. And... But that's why if I end up dropping a show after like very few episodes, I may just skip and not even put it on the list. It's a lie because I've seen 2 episodes of Attack on Titan Junior High and I hated it. But nowadays I do that. There are shows that I've seen 3 episodes around that and I just didn't put them on my list because I just straight up didn't have anything to say about them. There's also this Sagrada Reset that I watched 6 episodes, which is like a pretentious monogatari and just boring, not visually interesting, which is what makes monogatari so fun to watch. But also monogatari is like very tightly written. And yeah, snore. Oh my god, that was mean. Imagine monogatari but with the dullest and most boring dialogue. Yeah, delivered by emotionless robots. That's another one. Yeah, I remember the characters in Sagrada Reset being just they didn't emote. Then Trickster, which is I think an Erogawa Rampo supposed show. I guess it had potential. I straight up don't remember anything about it. Monster Musume is here. I watched 3 episodes of Monster Musume. I will say, I don't think it deserves a 2. I have changed my mind somewhere along the line about ecchi shows. I have. Maybe it was when I watched Keijo or something like that, because I think Keijo is really good. Also, High School DD is in here. And I actually remember coming back here and rewriting what I said about High School DD. But, what did I say? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because people really like this show, but for the life of me, I couldn't get into it. Yes, that is true. I watched 6 episodes of it and I was like, there's boobs. And that's it. But apparently, it gets insane and there's still boobs. That's what I've heard. I don't know. And nowadays, I'm much more positive towards ecchi. I don't hate something just because it's ecchi. Because that's sort of what happened with Monster Musume. I didn't find it interesting, and it was just... At the time, I thought it was just an excuse to throw boobs at the screen. Like, if I wanted to watch boobs, I would just watch hentai or something like that. And so, I ended up not liking shows like this. And I think that's what I said. It's just a ridiculous excuse to throw boobs at the screen, and not just any boobs, monster boobs. Again, mean. Also, what's up, Bonovo? Is that how you say Bononovo? Bononovo, Bon. How should I call you? You were into the Mon Musume manga way before the anime. It's still going, right? It's still going. I think I watched Monster Musume, or a little bit of Monster Musume, at a time in my life where I was trying to be serious and thinking like, oh, I can't watch this screwed show about monster girls. I can't. I'm a serious person. I watch serious stuff. I was very stupid. That was very stupid. Monmusu was the first manga you read. That's a hell of a first manga. I respect that. But yeah, that was my reaction with Monster Musume, because it was very popular when it came out. I also remember that. And I guess I was trying to be edgy and just going against the grain. But maybe maybe I was a bit too mean. I don't know if I would rewatch Monster Musume, because even though I have mellowed up to ecchi shows and stuff, I still don't go out of my way to watch them. Unless they have something that it's really legitimately interesting. Like High School DD. For example, if you sat me down and obliged me to watch High School DD, I will. Monster Girl. And I got you down a path. Hey, I will be perfectly honest here. I don't know if I did. I don't know if this is something I realized later or I was just hiding it. But the character designs in Monster Musume are fucking top notch. Which is why I feel like if you forced me to watch Monster Musume, I would probably be more positive about it. Maybe I wouldn't love it because again, it's not my cup of tea, but I probably wouldn't be so hesitant about it. I probably wouldn't be so mean and just be like, this is so stupid. That was just me being edgy. Dagashikashi is another one. It's like maybe I was a bit too mean on this show because I said it didn't make me laugh. And it seemed as if it was made more for the Japanese audience since a lot of the candy jokes went right over my head. I guess so. The show is stupid? Okay. I did watch it when I was not a teenager. So it was the year it came out. Monster Musume came out what year? Let's see. Monster Musume came out in 2015. How old was I in 2015? I was 18 years old. Okay, I was pretty young. I was pretty young. I was technically speaking an adult, but I still had the mind of a teenager. So by all intents and purposes, I probably would have liked Monster Musume if I was hornier, I guess. But it is a comedy, right? So maybe there is something to enjoy in Monster Musume. You were finishing high school? Hey, I was finishing high school in 2014, so it's not like we're too far off. Then what else we had? Clockwork Planet. Oh, yeah, I remember this show. It was very uninteresting, but it had an interesting world. Oh yeah, also the animation sucked. Yeah. It wasn't pretty. We're both hacks then. You know, you do understand if you were finishing high school a year later than me, it means that we're pretty much around the same age. Therefore, we're both hags, unless the threshold into becoming a hag is 26 and not 25. Is that what you're saying? 25 is not hag, but 26 is. I also kind of remember Clockwork Planet because I remember looking at the character design, something that looks interesting, and then the animation was like, and also the plot just straight up didn't hook me on or anything like that. So I ended up just dropping it completely. You're 26 too? Well, there you go. See, we're both hags, and that's okay. What else do we have on my drop list? Attack on Titan Junior High, and I think within the Attack on Titan community, people really like this show, but it just didn't hit for me. It didn't hit for me. It's like they grabbed every meme about Attack on Titan and made an anime out of it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's the case. Find the jokes to fall shortly over the line of stupid, and what the fuck does that even mean? Me? Past me? What if the original show went like this instead? That's, again, I don't think that's true. But I do remember watching it and not thinking it was particularly funny, and maybe that's a flaw of the first few episodes. But I remember, I remember... I remember catching some clips on YouTube that just randomly got recommended to me of later episodes, and I thought they were kind of fun because there were jokes and references in Junior High that were about the stuff that happens in the actual manga. And I think some of them were handled pretty nicely. I actually remember some of them. I like we're doing this right here, right now, like that one. That moment is a reference to the original manga, but they recontextualized it in some, I don't remember exactly what it was in Junior High, but it was funny the way that it was delivered. So maybe I was a bit too mean on it, but still, up to the point where I watched, which apparently was just 2 episodes, didn't even give it 3. It just wasn't interesting to me, I guess. Another one, the ones here, we didn't talk about them. Ninja Slayer. What did I say? Was I supposed to laugh? Should I take it seriously? I honestly don't see the appeal of this show. Nowadays, I do see the appeal of it. I watched 3 episodes of it. It's shorter. It's a shorter anime, but it's Trigger. And it's Trigger. What else? It's ridiculous, and it's like a spiritual successor to Inferno Cop, which I've seen one clip of Inferno Cop, which is like the one where he shoots a bullet to a crab monster, and then the crab monster bounces it back at him like he's invulnerable. And then Inferno Cop says, yeah, no, I'm vulnerable too. And so it bounces it back to the crab, and then the crab explodes. And that is the funniest shit. So maybe my mind wasn't ready for what Ninja Slayer was. Because at that point I hadn't seen Inferno Cop, so I didn't know what Ninja Slayer would be, and I thought it would be a more serious show, and it's kind of ridiculous too. So maybe I would be willing to give it a shot. But also, I haven't seen Inferno Cop, which people like Inferno Cop more than Ninja Slayer. Like, people remember that show more. So maybe Ninja Slayer is not as good as what was it, Inferno Cop? But all right. Then there's Prince of Stride Alternative, which I don't know why I watched it. Again, I'm not super into sports anime because I'm not super into sports in the first place. So it's weird for me to get into a sports anime. But I watched Prince of Stride, which is about a made-up sport, which is pretty much just running, free running, parkour. And I remember not being very interested in the characters and the actual story, but also the game to me made no sense, the actual sport they played. And also animation wasn't super great. I said they screwed up the run cycles on a show about running. But yeah, I distinctly remember the running in and of itself not looking good. Like, animation-wise, it wasn't looking good. So I was like, I cannot take this show seriously because I don't understand the sport they're playing, and also, it looks like shit when they're actually playing the sport. That's pretty much it. And then Anti-Magic Academy, the 35th Test Platoon. Now, if you've seen anime over the past, I want to say 8 years or something like that, there was a point in time where light novel adaptations were the shit. Like, everyone was doing light novel adaptations, and the hotness at that time wasn't isekai, it was Magic Academies. It was a Magic Academy, and most likely the protagonist cannot use magic or something like that, but yet they're still overpowered. That was the hotness. Devilman Crybaby with the best running animation. Yes, that is completely and utterly correct. The fucking running like a hyena. Magic Academy was the thing that time. And 35th, and again, I think this anime was like, I don't know if it was trying to go against the grain, but failing completely, and it seemed like another one of the bunch. So I watched 5 episodes of it, and I remember quitting halfway through the 5th episode because it was like, I've seen this show a million times over. I'm tired of it. And I think after that, I never watched any other Magic Academy show ever. What did I say about it? Literally nothing going for it. It looks dull and the plot is the same recycled light novel crap. It's generalizing because not all light novels were like that. But, you know what I meant. I meant about that, the Magic Academy thing. Then what else do we have up here? We have Twin Star Exorcist, which is the just straight up fucking shonen, and that's it. And for a while I was very interested in it. Not very, but I was kind of interested in it, even if it kind of did look like crap, because it didn't have very good animation and production values. And like halfway through the point where it actually started getting more interesting, they made a filler arc, because this is a 50-something, this is straight up a 50 episode show. And it was based on a manga. I think it's a Shonen Jump manga even. And they did filler. They started making a filler arc because this was Studio Pierrot, the ones that made Bleach and Naruto. And they loved doing filler arcs. Nowadays, no. I don't know if that's true nowadays. Right? Because they stopped making Boruto for the time. Wait, no, I'm right. They stopped making Boruto and they're doing the newer Bleach adaptations, which I think are actually pretty cool. I haven't seen the second season of the new Bleach though. But I have read the manga, so I know what happened. But yeah, Twin Star Exorcist was interesting, and once it started getting cooler, they went into a filler arc, which just kind of lost me completely. What'd I say? Interesting concept, but production values are awful and only go up in a few episodes. Everything else is typical shonen fare. Yeah, but the reason why I dropped it was because the story had lost me completely, because it's finally started going into an interesting direction, and then they ignored that and were doing a filler arc. And that's about it. And the filler arc wasn't as interesting. And I haven't even read the manga. I think I have a friend that read it. I think it's still going. I'm not sure. Either way, yeah, not the biggest fan. I did go back and look at some of the openings because there's some fucking bangers in there. I think yeah, fourth opening that the show had is fucking incredible. And then the newest adaptation of Shaman King. I didn't grow up on it. I remember watching some random episodes about of Shaman King, so I never had a strong connection to it. So I was like, I'm gonna give the new one a shot. And it kind of disappointed me, which was a shame because I was interested in what was going on, but I could tell that they were rushing through everything. Like, I haven't even read the manga, and it felt very obvious to me that they were going through like 10 chapters in one episode. And I guess that's what you have to do if you want to cover a long-running shonen manga in 52 episodes. So when I started getting bored of what was happening and just thinking this is just not the way to experience the story, I just dropped it. That's why I gave it a 5, I guess. Instead, I said exactly that it was going too fast. Fights were over in less than an episode, and the blood rushes through everything at blazing speed. Yeah, so I watched this rather recently too, but I can't for the life of me remember what happens on it because everything went by so fast. You didn't watch the new one? So if you grew up with the old one, I probably... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What was it in Latin American Spanish? La Resurrección, right? Yeah, over Soul, I think, which is by Mayumi Hayashibara, the voice of Rei. Not even the openings were super interesting in the new Shaman King. Yeah, it's probably not worth watching, especially if you like the original. I've heard the original anime is actually pretty cool. I don't know if it has any like original stuff or if it doesn't adapt the manga correctly. But I feel like if I ever want to like experience Shaman King, I'd probably just go ahead. I'd probably just go and fucking read the manga. Because I have a friend I think that's really a big fan of Shaman King. So yeah, this adaptation was a bit of a disaster. Then Reborn. Katekyo Hitman Reborn was one of the first anime I ever watched. I don't think I ever wrote anything about it because I added it to my list later down the line, and I was like, I don't even know why I dropped this. It was interesting. Yeah, there we go. It is a typical shonen. It is an old school shonen, but there's something fun to... There's still something to enjoy with those shows, right? With old school shonen. And Reborn, I don't think was particularly hated or anything like that. But I dropped it not because I wanted to, but because I kind of just like fell into a rut with anime back in the day. So I watched around 50 something episodes. That's just an estimate. I legitimately don't know how many episodes I watched. But I do distinctly remember that I stopped watching the show by the time the third opening was happening, because I really liked that third opening. And then they never kept going. I know they have an arc after I stopped watching where they go to the past and stuff like that. Yeah, I never got to that. I never got to that point of the story. But yeah, I always thought Reborn was interesting. And it's like one of those shows that might be worth revisiting to see exactly what compelled me to watch it and why I ended up dropping it, if anything. So yeah. That's everything I dropped. Oh wow, this is everything I dropped, right? We completely went to another thing and just not... What's on... Oh, we talked about this. Let's see. What else do we have on the low scores? We got School Days. I don't like School Days. What did I say? It tried to be a deconstruction of the harem genre. I think that's giving it too much credit. That is just giving it too much credit. My understanding of School Days, the anime, is that it adapted a bad ending route of the visual novel. Like, the visual novel has many endings, right? Has many routes, I suppose. And other routes in School Days, the visual novel, are okay, from what I've heard. But for some reason, the anime, they had the funniest idea, which was to adapt one of the bad endings. One of the bad routes. The ones where you act like a piece of shit. And that's Makoto, the protagonist of School Days in the anime. He's just a piece of shit. He makes every decision that is the absolute worst decision he could make. And I guess they thought it would be interesting, And it's true, it's interesting, it makes for an interesting talk, like, right? Like, nowadays people still talk about School Days, the anime, by how fucking fucked it is and how utterly shocking the ending is. So I guess it stood the test of time. So maybe it was a good idea for them to do that. But the truth is, it's not good. I don't like it. It's stupid. The guy is just ridiculously awful. That's all it is. The guy is just a piece of shit. And I can't... Also, the guy is a piece of shit, and somehow he's such a good womanizer that pretty much every woman in the school ends up fucking sleeping with him, and I'm like, that's not believable to me. I'm sorry. So it wouldn't surprise me that the routes where you're actually a good guy in the visual novel are better, because, well, it's easier to write, I guess, a normal dude than it is to write someone that is purposefully evil. I don't know. It's weird to me. It might be that Makoto is a bit of a self-insert too, and so that's why he's not super interesting. I don't know. School Days is a mess. School Days is a mess. It's an interesting watch, but the most interesting thing about it is the ending. I think most people remember School Days because of the ending. And I have actually seen some of the other endings from the visual novel, and there are other endings which are quite shocking too. Spoilers, they all end, a lot of them end with Makoto dying. I think there was one ending where... What was it? Kotonoha dies. I think there was one, yeah. Where she throws herself off a bridge or something like that. It's nuts. Also, at some point, they tried to make Kotonoha a VTuber. I remember that happening. That was weird. Alright, apparently the OVAs of Fairy Tail are here, which is just fan service. Of course he had it coming. That's why I said it. It says here that the ending is the best part of it, but it doesn't make up for everything that came before it. Of course it doesn't make up for it, but it's kind of cathartic to see such a piece of shit get what he deserves. But the path to get there was just appalling. It didn't make for an interesting watch. What else do we have? I also never vibed with Fairy Tail. I mean, I vibed with it near the beginning because it's just dumb, shonen fun. But Fairy Tail always seemed directionless to me. Because you had the other big shonens of the time. You had a fucking One Piece. Luffy, the main driving force of the show because he's the protagonist, he wants to be the Pirate King. So you root for Luffy to become the Pirate King. Also, he's an interesting character, but not so quite isn't. But even then, you know that the final goal of One Piece is to find the One Piece, right? You know that the final goal of Naruto is for Naruto to become Hokage and be recognized in the village. And so Fairy Tail never had that. Fairy Tail near the beginning was just meandering about its arcs. Like, it seems as if Mashima just had an idea for an arc. And it was like, all right, I'm going to make this. And so that's why a lot of the first arcs of Fairy Tail feel very disjointed. In and of themselves, they're not particularly bad, I think. But in the big picture, Fairy Tail is very directionless. And it only ever gets a proper direction and like a proper... Okay, so this is where we're going by the time... Zeref is introduced because it's like he's the big bad guy, and I guess he had been teased like early on too, but again it was very vague. It didn't seem so you know, end gamey kind of thing, and then it just kept going and going and going, and it's like, oh my god, this should have ended a long time ago. And then there's also the absolute refusal to kill characters off. Oh my god, that is like the one thing that pisses me off about Fairy Tail the most. Characters that literally die. That there are characters that literally die on screen that then get revived. That is the most bullshit thing, just because the plot bends itself backwards so that characters can survive, and I hate that. I'm not against characters dying, and I don't particularly wish for stories to have a lot of character death, but I take issue when you try to have a character death and then you take it away. I take issue with that. And currently I'm reading Eden Zero because I'm a fucking masochist, I guess. And I guess I didn't vibe too much with Fairy Tail, but I kept reading other stuff that Mashima has made. And I read Eden Zero. I am up to date with Eden Zero, and at this point, I'm just going to finish it because it's close to ending. And for a long time, I was actually kind of into Eden Zero because it fixed that one problem I had about Fairy Tail, that it seemed directionless. And I was like, okay, so Eden Zero is about this crew in a spaceship, and they're trying to find this fantastical being called Mother that can grant a wish. And the premise of the show is just, going through space and stopping at different points. It's a lot like One Piece in space. That's kind of the structure of Eden Zero, and I thought that was more interesting than Fairy Tail. So I stuck through it, and for a while it was more interesting than Fairy Tail, until Mashima kind of just went back to his old things, and just undid a lot of things, brought back characters from the dead. I can't vibe with Eden Zero as much as I vibed with it at the beginning. But I will say that Mashima has I'm watching the stream right now because I got a notification and I want to know if it pops up on stream. Okay, it doesn't. I'm good. What was I saying? No, what are you doing? Don't do that, Steam thing. I just wanted to close Steam. For some reason, it just popped up on stream. Again, scuffed. But yeah, I was talking about Fairy Tail and Eden Zero and how I don't vibe with Eden Zero anymore as much as I used to. What else do we have? Divine Gate. Divine Gate is a show that has an opening that I really like. It's fighting back, yeah. Some authors are too cowardly to keep going with an interesting narrative. Yes, and I think Mashima is one of those. Because I think a lot of things that Mashima did with Eden Zero are truly interesting, but down the line he just ends up backing out and just bringing everything back to the status quo, and I wish he hadn't. Like, I'm gonna straight up spoil something, because just to illustrate my point, there is a character that's called Witch Regret, which was sort of like the mom of the group, quite literally. Everybody loved her. I actually did too, because she was very... I like motherly characters and like that. I like mommies, all right? And she's kind of a mommy. She reminds me a lot of Mira Jane in Fairy Tail, but with a little bit more character. And there's an arc where she sacrifices herself to save the rest of the crew. And I think it's a beautiful moment. And that was actually the first major character death in Eden Zero. And I thought, okay, he's going through it. He's actually going through it. And her death actually had repercussions. And it hit hard. It actually, I almost applauded. I applauded Mashima for going through with it, because Fairy Tail never had a moment like that. But here's the thing, Eden Zero, much like Fairy Tail, and I think Rave as well, has time travel feat. Has time travel. I haven't seen Rave, so I don't know. But Fairy Tail also had it. And so, by introducing time travel, I was fully expecting at some point that they would go back in time and somehow Witch would come back. And I was right. But I was right, and it was even worse than I predicted. Because not only did he bring the Witch character, Witch, back from the dead, because they went back in time. They went back in time to the beginning of the series, literally. They had a whole reset. Everything that happened up till that point was completely reset, which is like the most Mashima thing ever. But not only did he bring back characters, not only did he bring back Witch, which was a character that died on screen, he also brought back characters that had died off screen and were apparently dead the whole time. And so I thought that when I found that out, I was like, oh, come on, you had something going there. But yeah, that was my Eden Zero rant. I stopped watching the anime. I watched like the first season of the anime and I thought that was alright. And yeah, nowadays I think there's a whole second season that I think I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I was like, I can't be bothered with watching Eden Zero anymore, knowing what it becomes. I'll keep reading the manga because reading manga is easy. But yeah, at this point I'm just committed to seeing how it ends. And I am probably done watching reading a Mashima series, because he started another manga right now. Resetting Everything is insane, and he did it. He straight up did it. He straight up did it, and it doesn't feel earned. Like, if there was a proper setup that was more interesting, I'm willing to forgive it, depending on how you take the story after. But the way Majima handled it just wasn't good. Okay, Divine Gate. Divine Gate is one of the most boring shows I watched. It's got bad animation, and it sucks because the art style is kind of interesting. Like, the black shading of it, I think, is super cool. Like, see, these are character designs. They look cool. I think it's based on a game. And, but yeah, it's so boring. And it also I remember. Divine Gate is another one that does sort of what Fairy Tail did. Which is interesting because I think the fire guy is voiced by Natsu. Yeah, I think there's like a bunch of characters that died in Divine Gate early on, and by the final episode they come back, and it's like, it was our plan all along to die, and then the show ends. That's Divine Gate. It's a mess. That being said, oops, I hit the microphone stand. Divine Gate has one of the best openings I've ever seen. It has a song by Hitori, which is one of my favorite Japanese bands. But yeah, if you know Owaka, the Vocaloid producer, that's the one who passed away. That's the guy with his band Hitori that made the opening for Divine Gate. Also, it's incredibly well animated and directed. Like, the credit integration in Divine Gate's opening is fucking fantastic. Divine Gate's opening is really good. Like, I've been toying with the idea of releasing a cover song, alright? And that is the song I want to cover. Also, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe it'll happen eventually. Then we have The Promised Neverland. Oh boy, The Promised Neverland. I'm not the biggest fan of the manga. I read the whole manga. Because I heard that it went to shit near the end, and I kind of agree. It just got uninteresting near the end, and it seemed as if everything was... I mentioned this with another series, but for The Promised Neverland it happens as well. Everything is bent over backwards so that the protagonists could win. Specifically Emma, because Emma is the protagonist, right? Is the main protagonist and driving force of the show. And everyone and everything answers to what Emma wants. The first season of The Promised Neverland was awesome. It was really good. And the arc that came after the first season in the manga was also really good. It was a completely different series because it was less mystery, less thriller, and more action shonen. But it was action shonen done right. It was less about characters being strong, and much like the first arc, it was about characters using their minds. And it was super interesting. The premise of that arc was super interesting. And then the anime came out, and I thought, oh cool, I'll watch the anime, because at the very least it'll adapt the arc that is still good. Like, the manga goes to shit, quote unquote shit, afterwards. So this season at least should be good. And fucking, I don't know who thought it was a good idea to do season 2 the way they did it. They completely skipped the arc that I'm talking about, that even people that don't like the manga like myself will agree that arc is good. And people that like the manga will tell you that second arc is the best arc in the entire manga. And it's like, what? They skipped it? And yes, they completely skipped it. I get the manga already went pretty downhill after the escape, which is wrong. It's not downhill after the escape. They didn't have to do it this dirty. They threw away the only good arc past the escape. There we go, I mentioned it. And decided to rush to the ending, smashing every contrived Deus Ex Machina possible. Yeah, because the manga has a lot of those as well. In a way that makes the manga's latter half actually look half decent. That is true. that is true. Like, the manga might not be great, but at the very least, it's better than this shit. Than this piece of shit of an adaptation. Also, production just plummets after a few episodes. I think the first few episodes of the second season look alright. And then at some point it just goes awry and episodes start to look like shit. Animation just is non-existent. I think one episode in particular needed like 30-something key animators, and that's insane. And then the ending, the finale, the final episode, did not have, I think, a writer attached to it, because whoever wrote it or something like that, whoever handled the script, didn't want to be part of the credits, from what I've heard. I can't prove if that was true or not, but I believe it. So yeah, that was Promised Neverland. That was a mess. Oh wow, I've been streaming for fucking a while now. I'm starting to get tired. And we've covered very little. This seems like a stream that I have to do a sequel of at some point. Damn. Oh, here's the Asterisk War. But The Island of Giant Insects is a crappy movie. That's all it is. It looks like shit. The story is shit. It's edgy as fuck. And oh yeah, it's super weird. It's super into, it's sort of like torture porn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I watched it. I don't know what compelled me to watch it. I guess it's because it was short enough, and I don't know. It seemed like something fun. Asterisk War is probably the worst example, the biggest offender of the Magic Academy craze in that time. And it's just straight up bad. It looks alright. It doesn't have any visual problems that I would say. It looks alright and kind of pretty even at times, but it's just so painfully fucking generic. It's so painfully generic that there's another show that aired at the same time as the first season that had almost the exact same premise. The thing is that other show was actually quite good, and that other show was what's it called? It's on my list. I watched it too. I watched it too, side to side. Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Exactly. Chivalry of a Failed Knight. It's actually pretty fucking dope. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like the best thing ever, but if you compare it to the fucking Asterisk War and every other Magic Academy shit that came out at the same time, Chivalry of a Failed Knight is actually pretty fucking well made. The main character is broken, but in a way that doesn't feel cheap. Because the main character couldn't use magic, I think it was, right? But he had like a specific ability that let him like copy other skills. You'll die on this hill. No. I agree with you. I really like it too, but I don't think it's like incredible. It's pretty good. It's pretty, I think I gave it something like a 7 maybe around here. But yeah, I heard that the light novel past the point where the anime ended goes even harder. So, which is a shame that it'll never get a second season, because I was super into it, and like the fights in that show were actually really cool, because it was interesting to see the protagonist like work around the way his power works and how he had to fight against others that had like traditionally cool powers. It was interesting. It was an interesting premise that was handled very fucking well. Also, he was a Chad. He was a Chad and he got the girl early on. That was another thing. This Asterisk War, harem bullshit. Chivalry of a Failed Knight? Oh, no. The guy gets the main girl. Stella was her name, right? The guy gets the main girl like 5 episodes in. And both characters are super interesting, and the relationship is actually one of the most interesting things of the entire show. It's realistic in the way it's portrayed. Yes. And it's sort of like a Romeo and Juliet thing, because they come from like different... Like the protagonist came from a family that was shunned, and the girl is like a princess, like of the like royalty and shit. Yeah. They are such a nice couple, and it's such a breath of fresh air. And the anime, I think, ended on the point where they straight up proposed to one another. Yeah, they straight, let's get married, and that's the point the anime ends. And if I know a little spoiler about the light novel, eventually they do get married, and they fuck. It's so like, it surprises me that this is something strange. Like, why wouldn't it happen? Romantic development should be normal, but no, we're celebrating it because most don't do it. Stupid Japanese and their fucking stupid views on romance and shit. It's such a breath of fresh air to have a romantic relationship that develops properly like that. Speaking of harem shit, there's Sword Art Online. Okay, so you wanna know what my relationship with Sword Art Online? I don't hate it. I think the first season, it probably, I don't know if I would say it's a 3, but are you no, don't tell me you're Kirito. God no. What do I say about Sword Art Online? Because I think Sword Art Online is an interesting case study because it legitimately gets better. I think it legitimately does. I don't know how it blew up the way it did. And I don't know how it became the popular thing to hate. And I kind of got dragged along that. SAO was fun at the time. And I also mentioned it here, like the first half, SAO, yes, surprisingly, it does get better. I'm not going to tell you that it actually becomes incredible, but future seasons of Sword Art Online, I wasn't giga hyped for SAO when it came out because I watched it after it was over. Hey. I think I started seriously watching anime the year after Kill la Kill came out, which I think was like 2014. Yeah, because SAO was 2012. Oh, I was 100% not watching a lot of anime in 2012. So yeah. But I think SAO is an interesting premise just because, you know, the trapped inside a video game. If you die inside the video game, you die in real life. But I think the video game of Sword Art Online is poopy. I have not seen Log Horizon. Log Horizon is not on this list, but it is on my plan to watch. We do a little Control F. There it is, Log Horizon. And I haven't updated this in ages because, well, there's no third season here. Me getting into anime via YouTube uploads of Death Note, divided into 3 parts. Yeah, that was the jam. That's how I watched Naruto. But yeah, no, I've heard like Log Horizon is really good, but I never sat down to watch it. And it's a long show too. It's got everything that I feel like I would like about it because I like the premise of SAO. And if Log Horizon is that but better, then I could probably get into Log Horizon. You're a big Log Horizon fan? Was the last season good? I heard conflicting things about it, but I don't know. I love the opening though. I love the database, just living in the database. Hell yeah, man. You would lose your minds over SAO? I mean, here's the thing. And you know how I said... Look, I wrote this a long time ago. I don't know if progressive was a thing by the time I wrote this. Because it says here, the first half was extended and better handled. It could have been a good show. Whoa. And that's exactly what progressive Sword Art Online progressive is. It's basically a retelling of the first half of the Aincrad arc. I think progressive is told from the perspective of Asuna, which is an infinitely more interesting character than Kirito, and I'm saddened and upset at the fact that sometimes the show refuses to acknowledge is. Sí, se puso progresivo. That's what it's called. Don't ask me. That's just what it's called. But yeah, progressive is that. I haven't seen it or read it, but I've heard it's like SAO done right. Which is interesting because it shows that the author grew. Sort of. Sort of, because SAO first season has the typical sexual harassment moment that is present in almost every season of it. Alicization is the one that I'm talking about. Alicization, as for the most part, is actually pretty good. I especially like the way Kirito is handled in it, up to a certain point, because like later down the line, Kirito comes back and he's just the typical Kirito, and it's like you were doing something interesting with him there, but you had to go back to what you were doing before. And at that moment, he was giving more. Yeah, the relationship between him and the blonde guy, which I forget his name, was really interesting. And it was actually kind of upsetting what happened with him. Because, like, yeah, the first half of Alicization, I think it's solid outside of, you know, the typical fucking, what is it? Sexual harassment thing that happens and the stupidly evil main characters. But yeah, it was interesting. It had something going. And then it kind of just evolved into the typical SAO thing where Kirito is the second coming of Jesus Christ. You'll be going, guys? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'll probably be going rather soon, too. I want to finish talking about SAO and maybe we'll leave it there. Maybe give a tease. Oh, yeah, see, I put Sword Art Online 2 out of 4. Because, yeah, Mother's Rosario arc. Well, I'll get to that. But yeah, it went back to the typical, oh, Kirito's our savior and he's the only one that can fix everything. 5 anime with 0 sexual things. I could probably name a few. Divine Gate didn't have any sexual things. Promised Neverland didn't have any sexual things. Fucking Kill la Kill. Well, no, that's a bad example. Amatora didn't have any. Fucking Sakuraku's Investigation didn't have. Angel Beats for sure didn't have any sexual things in it. Naruto and stuff didn't. You fucking God of High School didn't either. Satan didn't. No, what I mean is that there's the SAO relies on the sexual predator thing a bit too much, and there's like one too many sexual assault attempts on Sword Art Online, to the point where the author himself had to apologize for it. I think at some point he tweeted I have not seen Sakura Card Captor. I know the opening. That's about it. But I do know there's a creepy character in it. I actually do know that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he relies on that trope a little bit too much, and he acknowledged that and had to apologize to the female voice actresses that had to record the lines. Yeah. He apologized to them because it's like, oh, I'm sorry that you had to record such an awful scene. I won't make something like that ever again. No, I have not. Are you freaking out because I haven't seen Sakura Card Captor? I'm sorry, Lenny. I'm sorry. It's also not on my list, so whoops. But yeah, in general, that's my thoughts on Sword Art Online. The second season, I think, is better because, well, mostly because of the arcs that don't revolve around Kirito. Mother's Rosario is the best thing SAO has ever done, not counting the spin-off, because the spin-off I think is pretty good. And Mother's Rosario is interesting because it's a story that's completely different from anything else. It's a story about a little girl that has a disease she's got AIDS, and she plays this game, and she plays the game to escape, and Asuna befriends her and gets them to be better. Mushoku Tensei is on my list. I love Mushoku Tensei. I haven't seen the second season yet. I do think it's pretty good, though it is hard to recommend. There are things about Mushoku Tensei that I don't like, mostly about Rudius, though I get the way, I get why it's like that, but sometimes it becomes a bit unbearable. But overall, I think Mushoku Tensei is great. Also, it looks fucking fantastic. It's one of the best looking shows of all time. I don't know if of all time, but in recent memory, yes. It's hard for me to think of shows that look as bad as good as Mushoku Tensei. It's hard to ignore the bad parts, Jigsha. It is hard to ignore the bad parts, but I understand why they're there, and I put up with them, I guess is what it is. Especially because it seems as if like the main character Rudius is actually properly growing and becoming a better person. So I'm all for that. I'm all for character growth. I have yet to see the second season though. I think it's over, isn't it? Right? Like at some point I'll watch it. I'll get around to watching it. But yeah. And then let me see, just to finish off the Sword Art Online thing. See, I gave Gun Gale Online the spin-off about Len that was written by the Kino's Journey guy. And yeah, SAO, but it's written by an actually competent writer. Whoops. But yeah, no, this the SAO spin-off about the little short, well, the tall girl that is a short girl in game. That was actually really fun. I had a really fun time. It's very fun because the characters are more interesting and more realistically written, and the story it's fun to go around because it's not the typical power fantasy that other isekai have, and SAO in and of itself. So yeah, that's what I think about the GGO is good. Yes, if you like Sword Art Online, there's probably no reason why you wouldn't like Alternative, because it has very little connection to actual Sword Art Online, and I think that's what makes it strong, because it makes it so that anyone that is like somehow familiar with Sword Art Online can enjoy it, and even fans of Sword Art Online as a whole can enjoy it too. I think it's really good. I think if you give it a shot, there's probably something that you will like in it. What else do we have about Sword Art Online? Oh, here we got the movie. Thought it was all right. It looks good. It looks good. Plot holes, Deus Ex Machinas. Yeah, it's still SAO. Oh, you didn't like season 2? Well, I also kind of didn't like it. And GGO, let's be honest, is the least interesting of the games in SAO. But I think GGO, the anime alternative, makes it more interesting. And Alicization, I ended up giving a 5 because it's interesting, but it falters on a lot of things. Let's see. It feels fresh and interesting, at least when it focuses on the underworld, because the real world only has it's boring and uninteresting technobabble. Yeah, I was more interested in what was happening in-game in Alicization than what was happening outside. And then when the 2 started, Season 2, no, Season 2 is Gun Gale Online. Alfheim is still Season 1. That's the second half of Season 1, the half that we'd rather forget. And then the War of Underworld part is sort of like the middle child, and not a lot happens, but it is interesting. There's a bunch of episodes where nothing happens. Yeah, there are info dumps that just kill the momentum, and when stuff starts happening, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember this. There are characters that seem super interesting, but their entire part in the story was just one episode, and then they move on to something else. It's like, come on, man, you actually had something going, and you didn't fucking take advantage of it. And then the second half is when fucking Kirito comes back, and it's just a typical, oh, he's God, and there's nothing you can do about it. Asuna, which is actually a legit character, and everything just gets written out in a very poor way. But oh well, that's Alicization. In general, I think Sword Art Online is not terrible. It's just it moved on from being terrible into being halfway decent, and it just sort of like plateaus at like you might like it, you might not. It definitely, I don't think it deserves as much as the hate as it got. That's for sure. So yeah, that's my thoughts on on SAO. All right, with that, I gotta go take a piss. But also, I'm gonna be ending stream. This was a fun stream. I did not see Call of the Night though. I did not see it. I do know it. I do know it pretty well. I think the manga is about to end, right? But it seems interesting. I'm willing to give it a try. It's one of those shows that I'm willing to give it a try because it has an interesting premise and it looks fun. It looks fun, and the opening is fucking great. So if it has a good opening, it's most like it's the odds of me watching it go up. But yeah, it's got like 6 chapters left. Holy shit! I thought it had a lot more than that going. All right, visuals are great. Yeah, it has an interesting premise, and I think Gegak really likes it. And I saw his video about it. And I was like, okay, I might be willing to give it a shot. But again, there's a lot of stuff that I got to watch, and I haven't watched yet. But oh well, I'll get around to it. That's the story of my life with anime right now. Scott Pilgrim came out a few days ago, and I really gotta watch that too. But yeah, I had fun in this stream. This was a fun stream. I was hesitant to do it at first because I didn't think there would be a lot to say. But I was completely wrong. And there's so much more to say. I went through some of my favorites in the beginning of the list, and some of my least favorites at the bottom of the list. So yeah, I'll probably do a sequel of this stream later down the line where we can keep going with the rest of the list and talk about a little bit more other anime. Yeah. And we can cringe about what I wrote and stuff. It's a good stream. It's a fun stream. I'll definitely come back to this idea. The original idea was to watch anime openings and just rank them. watch past anime openings of the year, because I'm gonna do a write up. I'm not a write up. I'm gonna do the roundup of anime openings like I did last year. And so I wanted to like maybe make it into a stream, right? Like work on it, watch the openings with you guys, and like rank them live. But no streaming service would like that because copyright. So I repurposed it into this, which is still talking about anime, but in a completely different way. So yeah, that'll probably not happen, but another stream like this, most likely. Also, Persona 5 Tactica came out, and I like Persona, but I'm not super into tactical games. But I was willing to give it a shot just because I like Persona. And as it happens, I'm actually paying for for Game Pass right now, and so I could play it if I wanted to. And I thought it would be an interesting stream to do. I don't know how much I could stream the game because Atlas is kind of iffy with restrictions with that. But at the very least, at the beginning, I could probably stream. And if I get hooked into it, maybe we can make it a regular thing. Also, other ideas I have, probably don't wanna give them too much away. But again, this is a stream that we'll come back to at some point. I can't tell you dates because again, I'm terrible with that stuff. I'm terrible with scheduling and shit. So yeah. I'll probably leave it at that. And I'll see you guys later. This was a fun stream. I hope you had fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And I'll be seeing you guys later. Close this and get ready to go to the end screen. Bye-bye.